Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time to a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
In this video, I want to talk about the latest viral film, Sound of Freedom. This film has been all over the internet. Everybody is talking about it, and everybody seems to have a different opinion about this film. So I want to talk a little bit about the controversy, my thoughts on the film. So a little bit about Sound of Freedom. This is a rather gritty film addressing the issue of sex trafficking and pedophilia, especially within North and South America. The film centers on the work of the well-known Tim Ballard, who directly or indirectly set free hundreds, if not thousands of people within sex slavery. So just the very issue of this film instantly means it's a very, very mature film. It's dealing with a very strong and mature topic. The company distributing the film is Angel Studios. That's a Mormon company. And then Jim Caviezel, being a Catholic, playing the main role in the film. The film was originally planned to be released in 2018 by 20th Century Fox, but actually when Disney bought out the company, they basically dropped the project because, no surprise, Disney will make a million projects about every sexual orientation imaginable, but they don't want to release a film about sex trafficking. Tell me how that figures. This film that almost every major distributor rejected ended up being the surprise blockbuster hit of the summer. On the first day of release, July 4th, it ended up beating out Indiana Jones as the #1 film in America, making over $14 million in one day. And as of right now, 1 week later, has raked in over $45 million in box office tickets. The film has an A+ cinema score, meaning it's only the second film of 2023 to achieve that prestigious rating. On Rotten Tomatoes, critics give it a 78%, which is an astronomically high rating for a faith-based film, and the audience gives it a 99%. All of this to say that the film is surprisingly good. The direction of the film, the storytelling is good, the acting is phenomenal, and it is on such a powerful topic that many people are literally leaving the theater just weeping. And the fact that it's taking such a mature topic and packing it into a PG-13 rating in a way that parents can watch this with their children and talk about this topic with them is actually surprising, but yet powerful. Regardless, with an issue like sex trafficking, whether you enjoyed the film or not, all of us should be able to rally behind people who are leading a fight to see the end of this $100 billion+ demonic industry. So I would imagine that those in Hollywood or those at the top of the film reviewing world would see a film like this and be completely behind a film that exposes sex trafficking and is trying to create a movement to protect those most vulnerable in society, right? So here we have Rolling Stone's review of Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. All right, that's a great way to convince people who are not on your side of the aisle to think the same as you. The subtitle, the QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking, is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. So let me get it straight. It's a conspiracy theory to talk about sex trafficking. It's a conspiracy theory to say that it exists. I just want to point out, Rolling Stone, this is the same company that reviewed Cuties, that Netflix basically pedophilia movie, and states, thanks to a major marketing mistake, this award-winning French movie has been accused of sexualizing girls, which it did, and it says it's actually a sensitive portrait of growing pains that deserves to be seen. So let me get this straight. Cuties is good, but Sound of Freedom is bad because it's QAnon conspiracy theories to talk about sex trafficking. Washington Post. Sound of Freedom is a box office hit whose star embraces QAnon. The subtitle, this low-budget film about sex trafficking almost topped the box office on July 4th, but its star, Jim Caviezel, has linked it to the QAnon movement. Later on in the article, they state, but Sound of Freedom has been accused by some critics of warping the truth about child exploitation and catering to QAnon conspiracy theorists. So yeah, let's not praise these people for actually making a film about one of the most important issues of our time. Let's attack them for being QAnon conspiracy theorists, because it's more important to attack QAnon conspiracy theorists than it is to actually unite with people about the severity of sex trafficking. Here's The Guardian. Here's their title. They particularly seem to have a bone to pick with this film. I don't know if they refuse to pay their royalty fees to earn The Guardian's favor or something. Sound of Freedom, the QAnon adjacent thriller seducing America. By talking about sex trafficking, you are seducing America. Jim Caviezel stars as a hero trying to stop child traffickers in a paranoid You're paranoid if you make a movie about sex trafficking. New movie turning into a surprise box office hit. All right, what is it that they hate so much? And what is this QAnon accusation they keep throwing around? The basis of all of these accusations is that both Tim Ballard, the subject of the film, and Jim Caviezel, the actor portraying him, have been propagators of the conspiracy theories touted by QAnon followers. Namely, theories that basically state that there are these global elitists who are capturing children and harvesting their blood, body fluids, and body parts for profit. Which I'm not even going to get into that. Whether they're true or not, people can talk about their validity in the comments if you want to, whatever you guys want to do. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that these articles thought that the QAnon conspiracy theories of these people were more important than the issue of sex trafficking that the film was about. Whether they're true or not, the film, I watched it and it has zero, not a single one, zip, nada, reference to QAnon conspiracy theories. It is not in the film. Even the liberal outlets agreed. Washington Post states, Sound of Freedom does not depict anything close to QAnon conspiracy theories. Slate states the movie makes no reference to QAnon or its associated conspiracy theories. Even The Guardian, which for some reason just seemed bent on bashing the film, states these zestier strains of scaremongering are absent in the text itself. That's a fancy way of saying there was nothing in the film about QAnon. So let me get this straight. The film contains zero reference to QAnon conspiracy theories, but somehow we're supposed to reject it as a deceptive film because the main actor happens to espouse views that these high-up film reviewers don't agree with. What if we held Hollywood to the same standard? In other words, even if a movie was great, if it was a good film that was free of agenda, if one of the actors, just one, if one of the actors in the film believed something that we consider dangerous or deceptive, we're supposed to completely reject the film and warn others not to watch it. What if that was the standard we held Hollywood to? That's the standard Hollywood is now holding Christian films to. So if we hold Hollywood to that standard, guess what? We're not watching any more Hollywood movies, guys, because every single one of these Hollywood films, at least one of the actors has skeletons in their closet. But now, if you have skeletons in your closet, you're supposed to completely reject a film, even if it is on one of the most important issues in society today. Of course, CNN had to weigh in on this issue.
Because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory.
And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down.
I want those 2 minutes of my life back. I feel like I just wasted 2 minutes of my life. Classic CNN here. They state that this film was marketed towards QAnon conspiracy theorists. So if you watch this film, you're probably a QAnon conspiracy theorist yourself. Guilty by association. Yeah, like CNN is my first pick for objective dialogue on pedophilia and sex trafficking anyway. So the real question is, what do these left-leaning institutions really have against this film? We see them spouting QAnon as the main arguments against the film, but do they really have something else against it that they're not telling us? I did a little bit of research, and it didn't take long before I found this one video clip that instantly told me all that I needed to know about why these institutions hate the movie Sound of Freedom.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you very much. I spent 12 years as a special agent, as an undercover operator, working on the southern border, working sex trafficking cases. And I can tell you, you're exactly right. One little girl I can tell you about, in fact, I introduced this little girl to Miss Trump during a private briefing. This little girl was kidnapped in Central America. 11 years old, groomed for 2 years, with the intent of getting her ready to come to America. Why? Because we are the highest consuming nation of child pornography. We are the clientele that's the big money. They brought this little girl through a part of the southern border where there was no wall, easily got her to New York City, and this is hard to hear, but this is the truth, and everyone needs to hear this. This little girl, and this is very typical, raped for money every day, 30 to 40 times a day. If that's not a crisis, if that's not an emergency, I don't know what is. Now, let me say this. Had there been a wall, had there been a barrier, this little girl likely would have been saved.
And you have many thousands of people like this.
Thousands. This is happening all the time. We are having to do operations in Mexico, our foundation, working with law enforcement, to essentially become the wall, because there is no wall. We're forward deployed. It's like trying to catch flies with chopsticks. It works. We can make it work. But if we had a big, fly swatter, which is the wall, that'd be a lot better. Yeah. It stops it.
That's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
So here's the real reason, I believe, why people hate this film. Because Tim Ballard, who this film is about, happens to be a right-wing conservative who holds to QAnon conspiracy theories, and at one point was placed by Donald Trump in an advisory council on sex trafficking. He dares in this clip to sit down with Donald Trump and suggest a wall on the southern border will help deter sex trafficking in America. And if you're a certain group of people, that is blasphemy at the highest level to praise Donald Trump, to say that we need to build a wall, to be right-wing, to be conservative, to hold to any of those values is such an unspeakable blasphemy. And I almost feel like I'm exaggerating here. I almost feel like I'm getting into straw man arguments, but it feels like some of these people hate the thought that you would do that more than the thought of you being a pedophile who traffics people, because they're attacking these QAnon right-wingers more than they're actually going after and attacking these pedophiles and sex traffickers. To anyone who is so fixated on these red flags of being conservative, of being a dangerous right-winger, that they miss the red flag of the fact that more people are in slavery today than at any other point in modern history, they should be ashamed of themselves. If you are more concerned about politics than human lives, your priorities are way out of order. This film is not about politics. It is about one of the most vulnerable groups of people in this world being taken advantage of by monsters and demons. But what's disturbing is that Hollywood seems completely uninterested in actually fighting this topic and actually addressing this issue. And it adds fuel to the argument that those criticizing this film may be hiding secrets of their own. I understand that a lot of people push this film forward in a way that if you dare criticize it, you might be a pedophile yourself, which I don't agree with that line of thinking. I agree we should be able to criticize this film on a storytelling and objective basis. I'm not going to say even that this is one of the greatest films of all time, but it was willing to make a stand on an issue that very few are willing to. And I don't want to stand up and say that if you're on the left, you're one of these people who cares about politics more than you do about pedophiles. I don't believe that. But I do believe that there are certain people out there who seem more concerned with the fact that the people who made this film espouse QAnon conspiracy theories than the fact that there are some people being raped every single day for money. And for those people, I believe they should seriously check themselves to see if their priorities are actually in proper order. So with that, another deep topic video. Can't wait to see you guys fighting in the comment section below, because that definitely happened in the last video. I went on a rant about a movie. So I'd love to hear you guys in the comments below. What did you think about this video? What do you think about my take on the video? I'd love to hear your feedback. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say. With that, God bless. We'll see you in the next video.
As a Christ follower, I've made the resolution to take every opportunity possible to share my faith with the world. If you've never given your life to Christ, I'd love to share with you how Christ has transformed the man that I've become. I've attached my email onto this video where you can shoot me a quick email, and I'd love to have that conversation. Or if you're a Christian struggling with your faith or just looking for ways to grow closer to God, I'd love to have that conversation with you. With that, you guys have an awesome day. God bless.